It is an emergency dispatch service. I'm listening.
From the speakers came only static noise, intertwined with the fragments of unintelligible words.
Help me. Somebody's touching me.
Alex, there's a call from the 45th. Get ready to head out.
Called out Lena. I glanced at the clock. Almost midnight. Who wouldn't be restless at such a late hour? I muttered quietly to myself, quickly donning my raincoat and grabbing the standard set of tools for repairing cargo elevator compartments. I stepped outside and headed towards the service vehicle. Autumn made its presence known, drenching my face with a drizzle of icy rain. The wind howled, insinuating itself in the most secluded corners of my body, making me huddle and flinch inaccordingly. Usually 3 people walk in our group, but during the night shifts, we had to be on a duty one at a time. Damn it, now it's all the night alone. It will be necessary to rescue the unfortunate one, I thought as I started the car. It seemed like the city together without the inhabitants decided to go to sleep. The moon was out of sight, and the weather made the night even darker than usual. It took a long time to drive. The navigator changed the road all the time, each time showing the new paths to the ill-fated house. I arrived at the place just around midnight. A typical panel house, shabby for years, looked into the emptiness of the night city with the black, old windows. There was no light in any of the 12 floors. It must be strange, such a big house, and everyone is sleeping. There must be a couple of psychos who can't sleep at night. I thought as I approached the entrance. The entrance, pasted over the various papers, was waiting for the visitors, opening its rusty iron mouth every now and then, tinkling with a metal door swinging in a draught. Well, no wonder someone managed to get stuck in a hole like this, I thought with annoyance. Upon entering the hallway, the light did not turn on. Usually, now there are sensors everywhere, but apparently not here. Has the light gone out? Digging through my bag and looking for the flashlight, I got suspicious. First of all, I went down to the elevator itself. As expected, the burn button didn't work, I suppose for a long time. Hey, is there anyone? Can you hear me? I crushed the emptiness with a cry. Silence was the answer. I decided to check the shafts first, since all the electrical parts for the elevator were located there, away from the prying hands. The door to the shaft seemed even older than the house itself. The moisture-eaten and rust-covered orange red door, illuminated by the lantern's light, appeared to be in a passage to the underworld. The locks seemed to have been torn off long ago, as the metal fittings were ripped out from their roots. Descending through the arc into the pitch darkness, I searched for the electrical panel. What the hell? The water was flooded to the very ankles around the entire perimeter of the basement, from which the legs was instantly pierced by the icy cold. It was already too late to look for you, so I decided to quickly finish to get out of here before my legs were completely numb. Fingering with a squooshing shoes, I found an electrical panel on the farthest wall. Of course they don't have an elevator. All the wiring is in the water. Damn it! I cursed a rummage through my bag, searching for the key. And after a short while, the door of the panel has opened. Opening with a creak, it released a shower of dust and paint, indicating that no one had looked in here for a very long time. How the hell can that be? Two bare wires looked at me in the light of the lantern, and nothing more. As soon as these thoughts flashed through my head, I've heard a familiar buzz of descending elevator above my head. What the hell is going on here? No longer hiding my anger with quick steps, I headed up. Dispelling the darkness on the first floor, an elevator stood, flickering with an old bulb. Inside, there was no one except a battered cap laying on the floor. After a brief pause, I slowly entered the elevator, inspecting every corner of the space. Scourge buttons, profanities on the walls, and a sharp scent of urine mixed with a bleach assaulted my nose. At a first glance, it seemed to be the most ordinary elevator of countless others. But as soon as my foot crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut with a lightning speed, and the light went out. I, like a concerned beast, began to dart around to try to pry it open with my hands. It was all in vain. As if I held in a steel vise, the door wouldn't budge. Then I remembered I've got a radio for emergency communications with my team. Using my flashlight, I started rummaging through my poking bag, and finally I found it. Lena, can you hear me? Come in. I'm 45th. I've got an emergency, do you copy? In response, only a faint hiss was audible. This can't be happening. This damn thing should have a radius of 10 kilometers. I yelled in frustration, shaking the radio in my hand. Damn it, if I'll not fix you, I'll tear you apart. I threatened it, heading towards the door with a miniature crowbar from my equipment. Such an occasion was not successful. After about an hour of fiddling, I was simply sitting on the floor, listening to the darkness and silence around me. Given my line of work, confined spaces didn't frighten me. Fatigue gradually swept over, weighing down my eyelids like heavy lead. Sooner or later, someone would pass by and discover me, and the broken elevator. In the worst case, it'll be in the tomorrow morning. In the best case, some oddball wandering around at this late hour. With these thoughts, I lowered my head and turned out the flashlight to conserve its battery. I managed to sleep only briefly, no more than an hour by my perception. The slamming entrance door woke me up from slumber. Quickly turning on the flashlight, I started banging on the door and shouting, trying to attract the attention of a random passerby. Hey, can you hear me? I'm stuck in the elevator. Anyone? What I heard made me instantly fall silent, and a shiver ran down my body, covering my skin with goosebumps. With a low, throaty roar and heavy breathing directed towards me, something massive was approaching me, and the footsteps, they were nothing like human. Two quite hard, and one that seemed like a bare feet and tiles. And all of this in a specific sequence. In a moment, it stood right in front of me, with only the elevator door standing between us. Judging by the creature's breathing, it was about 3 meters tall, and I couldn't wrap my head around how it could possibly fit into the hallway. My heart stopped for a while, and my breathing quickened, like how I ran for a few kilometers, without stopping. Holding my nose, I tried not to give away my noisy breathing, but it knew I was here, that I was alone and frightened. It sensed my fear. For a moment, it felt as if the darkness had become tangible, ominous. It was as if it was pining me, not allowing my body to move. I heard it crawling and could distinguish several tones at once, as if a couple of people of different age were groaning in agony simultaneously. This howling was driving me crazy. I wanted to show anything to my ears, just not to hear it. The next moment, the light in the cabin turned on, and I slowly began to ascend. The groaning faded away as the elevator went up to the upper floors, and it stopped on the final floor. The corridors remained just as dark as it were, with the only light from the elevator. As quickly as possible, I got out of the elevator, and the doors creaked shut behind me. Back! I forgot my back in it! Flashed through my mind. Apparently, due to the horror I had just experienced, I completely forgot about it. The only thing I had was a flashlight gripped in my hand. I wanted to get out of this damn house as soon as possible. Surely someone must live here, crossed my mind, without fearing to wake anyone up at this late hour. I started pounding on the first door I came across. Somewhere down there, you can barely hear the creature roaring. But from the sounds, one thing was clear. It was coming upstairs. No one opened the door for me, not in that apartment or following three. Only one door remained on the 12th floor. Please, anyone, I need help. Can you hear me? Please open the door. But there was only silence with me. Out of curiosity, I decided to turn the door knob. And to my surprise, the door swung open. Before me stretched a long, dark corridor with a branching paths leading to the rooms. There was no furniture, no wallpaper, nothing in the apartment. Absolutely bare walls, with just an entrance door. No tenants, no guests. I rushed to the doors where I had been before. The situation was the same. The doors opened calmly, revealing empty, worn-out rooms. Desperity gripped me by the throat so tightly that I felt like I wanted to retch abruptly. The way out was one, downwards, wiping the drops of sweat showering my eyes. I halted at a staircase leading to the lower floors. My weak legs barely kept me balanced, wavering on the level ground. The flashlight beam pierced to the 11th floor. The monster's howling became more discernible, seeming to come from the 3rd or 4th floor. I stood in the gap between the flights of stairs, directing the light into the abyss. Too high up, I couldn't see anything. I need to figure out on which floor that creature was now. The thought that sooner or later we would cross paths sent shivers through my body, better than anything else in the world. The challenge now was to figure out how to slip past it. If it's still on the lower floors, there is an option to jump out of a window in one of the apartments. But what if it's not? Maybe try to hide in one of them and wait until it gets upstairs. What if it doesn't move on and starts hunting for flesh? All these questions provided no answers and only tormented my mind. Time was running out. I had to go downstairs, and the faster, the more chances to stay alive. On my way down, I opened where the doors were within reach, hoping to find someone. Everything remained unchanged. People seemed like they had never lived there. The building appeared unfinished, or maybe abandoned long ago. On the 7th floor, amidst the unintended growing, I heard a familiar hard and soft sound of something stepping on the cold floor. It had climbed too high for a potentially life-sapping jump from a window. God damn it, I only have one option left. On the 6th floor, I chose an apartment right by staircase, so that in case of anything, it would be easier to run downstairs. By mistake, the door slammed shut harder than I expected, and I could swear it hurted. I felt, through my wet boots, that its pace had quickened, and its growling and rumbling became louder, more intense. There was nowhere to hide in the apartment. The empty walls gave me away. Right by the entrance on the right, there was a small kitchen with a small alcove concealing part of the room. That's where I decided to wait it out. In case it managed to breach, there would be a chance to hide behind the wall. I didn't have to wait long. The wall trembled, and bits of plaster started falling, indicating the creature's presence on the floor. Given all of this, all I could do was to imagine the size of this beast. I closed my eyes and turned on the flashlight. In the darkness, my senses sharpened. Sweat streamed down from my forehead, and a shiver coursed through me. For a moment, it went quiet. It was listening, sniffing, asking the darkness where I had hidden. Immediately, the sound of broken door echoed from the apartment where I was located. I don't know how, but miraculously, I didn't scream in terror, sealing my mouth shut with both hands. I sensed it, that ominous mass of fury and aggression. It was here for my soul and my flesh. Then again, hard and soft sounds, and it was as if a pack was being tossed from one place to another. Picking cautiously from around the corner, I waited for the right moment. At first, two massive limbs resembling hammers came into view. Joints turned inside out, the height of these sword-like arms nearly reaching the ceiling. That was the clattering on the floor, the hard sound I heard all the time. Then, bracing against those pincers, a massive body, barrel-like, flashed in the air, barely fitting through the narrow corridor opening. Below its navel, a hanging appendage, neither a rope nor a thread, was visible, restraining the organs where legs should be. This creature maneuvered the limbless body with its piercers. Its head turned in all directions, as if on hinges, creating the impression that it existed independently from the body. For a moment, it seemed like its belly was covered in something moisty, especially its face. Though due to the darkness, I couldn't see clearly. It crawled further down the corridor. For a second, that relieved me. But thinking that I have to run downstairs immediately drained the last of my strength. When it was already at the end of the corridor, I ran like I had probably never run before. I turned on the flashlight to avoid tripping and falling, flying through one stretch after another. Behind me, I heard incredibly swift hand strikes and roar that brought tears in my face. No matter how fast I descended, despite its awkward proportions, it caught up with me too quickly. Fourth floor, third, second. The roar of voices was right above me when I turned back and shone the flashlight. They started in fury, its face smeared with another's blood. It roared, flailing its piercers and leaping an entire floor at once. And there it was, the ground floor, the entrance door. I was almost free, just a little more. Grasping for breath, I stood in the wasteland, unable to comprehend where the city is. The houses, the cars had gone. There was absolutely nothing around, except the ominous house, still standing in the wasteland. Overwhelmed by helplessness and confusion, I fell to my knees in madness, looking around in all directions, while the approaching roar of voices echoed from behind.